In life, we have emotional triggers, we have tension in the body, and we have lenses or beliefs that shape how we see the world. When we're born, we're basically a clean slate. But as we grow, we start to accumulate these things little by little. Take this for example. Something happens to me when I'm a little boy. I get triggered emotionally. What's my instinct? I tense up, right? Someone yells at me or makes me afraid and my body physically tightens. That reaction, that tension gets stored in my body. And if I don't process it or even think about it, it ends up imprinted on my subconscious mind. Now, if that only happens once or twice, no big deal. But what if it happens again and again, over and over? Those reactions start to layer. They build up. Say I'm a teenager and I have a bad experience in a relationship. I get emotionally triggered again and then again in a different situation. Each time the imprint stays. So weeks, months, or even years later, if I find myself in a similar situation, my body and subconscious remember it. And suddenly, I feel the way I did back then, even if the current moment doesn't actually deserve that level of reaction. This is a big deal. And it's not just theory, it's been validated scientifically. You've probably experienced it yourself. Maybe you've had a stressful job or bad experience trying to complete a project, and now when you're in a similar situation, similar environment, you feel the same uneasiness creeping back in. Your nervous system is already on edge. The problem is, this builds up over time. And when it accumulates, it shows up as stress, tension, anxiety, procrastination. We start feeling off, often without knowing exactly why. Now let's compare this to the animal kingdom and other mammals. Picture a gazelle being chased by a lion. If it escapes and survives, what does it do? It shakes its body. It has a kind of seizure to discharge all the adrenaline and fear and stress that it just experienced. And then it walks away like nothing happened. So why don't we do that? Well, maybe when we were young, we did. If you watch kids, they do all sorts of weird movements, spontaneous expressions, sounds, reactions to things, and that's healthy. But over time, we get conditioned by society to stop. We're told to sit still, quiet down, suck it up. And that's when it starts to get slippery. So to break this down again, we have an emotional trigger, a physical reaction, usually tension, and then a negative belief or imprint layered onto the mind. So let me give you like a physical metaphor. Brushing our teeth. Every time we eat, we get food stuck in our teeth. No big deal, right? Unless we never clean them. If we don't brush, that food starts to stick and eventually the teeth rot. So what do? We physically clean them every morning, every night, like clockwork. Now imagine if we treated our emotional and mental hygiene the same way. Every time we go through something stressful, an argument, a fear, a moment of shame or anger, that's like the food on the teeth. It's residue. And it's just like the mouth. It happens physically. Emotions are felt in the body. Stress creates real, tangible tension. So wouldn't it make sense to physically do something about it? If someone ate every day but never brushed their teeth, their mouth would decay. But if they started brushing consistently, over time their teeth would get clean again. It might take a few days, weeks, months, but it would happen. They'd start to experience that clean mouth feeling again. Once they do, they'll want to keep it that way. Are you still with me? Okay. So let's bring this back to the body, the mind, and emotions. Just like food leaves residue on the teeth, emotions and stress leave residue on the body. And when we start to build up that residue without release, it becomes our baseline. We forget what calm feels like. We get used to being tense, reactive, or scattered. But again, it's reversible. And how do we do that? That's what I teach people to do. You might already be familiar with tools like strength training, stretching, breath work, meditation, maybe even Qigong or cold plunge. These are all ways to clean up the buildup, ways to clear the residue from the body and the nervous system. What most people don't realize is that each of these modalities targets something different. It's like brushing different parts of the mouth. Let's say strength training hits this one, and stretching is over here, and breath work is here, and meditation smooths it all out. Each one supports the other. And when we use them together, they have a more compounding effect. They cover more ground. Now, similar to the way teeth can accumulate food and junk over time when they're not cleaned, the same thing happens to the body, the mind, and the emotions. If we don't do anything about it, that stuff starts to build up. The tension, the stress, the emotional charge, it becomes our baseline. Someone can get so used to feeling anxious, scattered, or heavy that it becomes normal. They don't realize there's a different way to feel. But if we wanted to fix that, we wouldn't just pick one tool and hope that it works. We wouldn't just brush one part of the mouth and expect to have fresh, healthy teeth. We'd make use of all the tools available. We'd clean every part, top, bottom, front, back, because that's how to get a full reset. And how often would we do it? Every morning and every night. Why? Because the gunk builds up daily. It's just part of being alive. So we do something physical again and again to clean it out. And sure, if the teeth have been neglected for a long time, it might take more work. It might take days, weeks, or even months of consistently brushing until they're back to truly clean. But eventually, with the right tools and enough reps, they will be clean again. And the same goes for how you feel physically, mentally, emotionally. If there's a long stretch of chronic tension, stress, or uneasiness, it can be cleared. That tight, reactive, foggy state isn't permanent. It's just built up residue. And once it's removed, once that system is cleaned, you start to return to your natural state, calm, relaxed, clear, and focused. You get back to you. And here's the thing. If someone had dirty teeth for so long, they might forget what clean even feels like. But the moment they experience that fresh, light, minty feeling again, you know it's unmistakable. And they won't want to go back. Same thing with your nervous system. Once you experience that clear, centered, light state mentally, emotionally, physically, you don't want to go back to how it was before. You actually feel pulled to keep doing the practices that keep you clean. That's been my experience. And the only reason I'm even able to articulate this now is because I've lived both sides. I've studied this, I've been taught this, and most importantly, feel it. I used to live with low to high stress constantly buzzing in the background, a sense of uneasiness that just wouldn't go away. But now, that's not my norm anymore, not even close. And if things do ever start to feel dirty again, I don't panic. I just go back to what I know works. I clean it out, I reset it, and I get back to clarity. And how does this relate to our energy levels, our focus, you might ask? Well, think of a time you felt dirty and wanted to shower. Until you cleaned yourself, you probably felt a little off, less confident, less sharp, maybe distracted, low energy, even thinking how others might perceive you. That uneasiness takes up space. It drains mental bandwidth. Now compare that to how you feel after you're freshly showered, put together, fully present. There's a calm sense of readiness. You're not leaking energy thinking about what's wrong. You're just able to show up fully. It might sound like a goofy comparison, but the point is this. When we carry physical tension or emotional baggage, it subtly weighs us down mentally, emotionally, even energetically. But when we release it through movement, breath, and intentional practice, we free up a massive amount of capacity. That's when we perform unchained.